1966, Carroll Quigley wrote a book that literally changed the world forever. It's called Tragedy and Hope. And anybody who has studied the nature and existence of secretive power has heard of this book, and there's a reason. The reason is, from 1966 forward, anybody interested in this topic had about as close to an unimpeachable source of information that you could possibly get. Prior to that point, they could easily dismiss people as just being extremists or radicals or conspiracy theorists or whatever pejorative that they wanted to use to keep people from looking at the information. That was not possible with Carroll Quigley. Carroll Quigley earned his PhD at Harvard. He was a prominent historian. He taught at Princeton. He taught at Georgetown University. He advised the U.S. Department of Defense. So, on the surface, you have right there about as reputable of a source of information as you're going to possibly get. But in addition to that, if that wasn't good enough, Quigley was actually allowed inside the network that he exposes. He was allowed to look at their secret papers. So he could show how they infiltrated governments. He could show how they used the education system, how they used the media, how they used tax-exempt foundations to further their own agenda surreptitiously behind the scenes, shaping enormous world events while leaving everyone else to believe that everything's being run by their so-called representative governments. So the book is incredibly powerful. The problem is, it's 1,300 pages of small print, about 600,000 words, and normal human beings don't read stuff like this. So, and then in addition to that, he has that, but he also has the Anglo-American establishment, which is a more detailed account of the network that he discusses, but it's even actually worse than Tragedy and Hope to read. Tragedy and Hope is very long, it's very dry, it's what you would expect a professor to write. The Anglo-American establishment is even worse. You might as well be reading a phone book as he's listing off all of these names. I mean, it's very methodical, but it's just, it'll put almost anybody to sleep unless you're just really, really dedicated and want to get that information. It's just not, it's not written for the average reader. So anyway, this is the point of the video. I've written a couple other books. The first one that I wrote condensed the story of the economic system, our fraudulent fiat debt money system, because that's such an incredibly important thing to understand. But most of the books written on it are very long, and a lot of them are very dry because they're written by economists and they're written in economies. So basically what I'm doing at this point is I'm going to condense this story that Quigley tells in Tragedy and Hope. As with my other books, I'm going to try to keep it under 200 pages and try not to make it so dry, but at the same time help people understand once and for all that these things that they hear about power behind the throne are not just stories. They're easily verifiable, and there is such a network, there is such a powerful network in operation. It's still in operation today, and it's still controlling all of the major world events that take place are being controlled by this network of individuals. And all you have to do to kind of get yourself comfortable with that idea is just ask yourself, do you really think that you are the one who's determining our foreign policy? Do you really think that you are the one who's determining our domestic policy or our economic policy or any of the other major levers of political power? Of course not. So then you have to start tracking down, well, who is? Is it the puppets that are elected? Or is it the people behind the scenes that control the puppets? As with my other books, there will be a free version of this one online. But unlike Dishonest Money and Leaving the Illusion, I'm going to actually publish this as I write it, because I want to make sure that it's not too dry, that it's not too detail intensive. I want to be able to get the most important part of this information out there, which is to help people understand that there are extremely reputable sources on this thing that people call the New World Order. Quigley is basically sharing with us the New World Order. He's defining it in substance, if not in name. So anybody who's ever been interested in this, the book is going to obviously use Quigley's work primarily, but then branching off from Quigley, I will also use I'll bring other people in to help provide insight into the mindset of these people, like, Henry Kissinger and Bernays and Bertrand Russell and all of these others who know how the world actually operates, and kind of sit back and laugh at everybody else who buys into the lie that they're the ones who have power. I'm going to actually publish this as I write it, so I can get feedback as I'm writing it. To find it, all you have to do is go to tragedyandhope.info. That'll take you to the book as it's in progress, and then obviously when it's done, you'll have the full version will be there. And I look forward to hearing from everybody if you've got feedback, and I hope you enjoy it. I hope you find it useful, and for those of you who already know what's going on, I hope you'll find it a useful tool to share with other people who you're trying to use the cliche, trying to wake up.